Hello everybody, it's Crypto King Colt, back again. I wanted to finish my story that we got into earlier. It got a little rough, I guess. We were talking about the streets I lived on and the battles I had to go through to continue to live there as a kid. Here we go. We're just gonna jump straight into it. We left off at the streets I lived on. At the time, you could say, race and racism played a very big part in our lives. As the black gangs in the neighborhood were the most prevalent and dominating gangs in the neighborhood. So we had no choice but to band together and become outsiders, as I called it. Not a gang. Remember, we're just a brotherhood of friends. We didn't do anything that gangs do. We didn't hurt people. Nothing. We were there specifically to protect ourselves from the dangers that were. So we bound together, and I'd like to send another shout out to the founding members of our group of our corporation that I still promote today, but in very different ways, actually. So shout out to Murray Titchborn Jr., my brother, and another shout out to Alexander Izzard, aka Izzo, Big Izzo. Love you guys. Never forget you no matter what, even if we're not around each other as much as we used to be. So the corporation and its 3 rules, which were never to lie, steal, or hide something from a brother, that lasted till my early 20s, till we all started moving on with our lives in our own directions, and we had our own kids, and I had my first child too at the age of 20, a beautiful little girl named Tiana McKay, my princess, and I don't want to say it's her fault in any way, but after she was born, I did everything, a good father should do, a good dad should do anyway. I got everything she needed, diapers to the roof, clothes, a house, an apartment over our heads, that was my first apartment, actually, we moved into, and by the time I was 23, my daughter had actually gave us the scare of a lifetime. Me and the mother of my child, we one night we were watching a movie, and my daughter uses the washroom to take a number 2, you know what I mean? And her mom noticed the color inside of her stool was dark, and it was possibly blood. We got a little bit worried, and we wanted to be sure that it was in fact blood. So we waited till the next morning, and at breakfast time, when she used the bathroom again, we inspected it, and sure enough, it was dark again. So right then and there, we rushed her to the hospital. We took her to the hospital that day. She was admitted to the hospital right away, and later on that night, she woke up her mother around 4:00 a.m. in the morning. And this is where it gets a little scary. She woke her up with a horrifying scream, saying, "Mommy, Mommy." And as Ashley, the mother of my child, looked up, she saw her beautiful daughter covered in blood from her nose down and all over the hospital bed. It was quite terrifying scene. At the moment, doctors started running tests and on all parts of her body. After a few tests, they realized that she had a bleed inside her lung, and that's why her stomach filled with blood, because she was too young to spit. So every time she would cough up the blood, she would swallow it, and it filled up her stomach to the point where it couldn't handle it, and she puked it up, which made it look like a scene from a horror movie. It was horrible. Then it was found that her white blood cell count was way down, which said that she had no autoimmune no immune system, to fight off infections or disease, as you were due to the autoimmune disease called Wagner's vasculitis. We were informed, which is one of the worst autoimmune diseases or deficiencies around, especially for a girl of her age. It's very rare. She was probably one of 3, maybe 2 kids her age that were ever diagnosed with the disease. She was only 3 years old, and after we got the bad news, our only option to take was treatment, right, which just happened to be chemotherapy. After going through 12 rounds of chemotherapy, they wanted to try radiation, which we did. We had to do everything we could, right? I'm not going to lose my daughter. And then after that, she was put on an array of different pills, 7 different dry meds and another 7 or so liquids that she was taking in the morning and at nighttime. So imagine, taking 28 different medicines a day. She went through some pretty serious stuff. It ain't no joke. And then to repeat all that every day, it got hard. But the good news soon came after all of that. She went into remission, which means that she still has the disease, but it lies dormant in her body and does not affect her for the time being. She's still in remission to this day. So it's laying dormant in her body. She's now 9 years old. It's been 4 years she's been in remission. So we couldn't be more happy. She's doing really well. So thank the Lord for that. Praise Jesus. Amen. And she's doing very well. And after all that difficult time we had, I am happy to tell you she is very happy, smart, beautiful young girl. So, a few years go by, and a friend of mine, supposed to be friend of mine, soon got me addicted to opiate painkillers known as Percocets. So after a year of him giving them to me, and then he stopped giving them to me. At which time I was already hooked, and he then told me he wasn't getting them anymore, you know what I mean, and that was pretty much his way of telling me that he's not gonna give them to me anymore. I gotta pay for them, so his goal was to get me hooked so I could buy his medicine, and that's not something a friend does. So I stopped talking to him. There's no reason for me to be associating myself with people like that anymore. Anyways, so after that, the next best thing was OxyContin. I couldn't get Percocets anymore, so this so-called friend, his name's Justin Robson, just to put him on blast, piece of shoot, he told me, the next best thing is OxyContin. It's the same thing. It's a painkiller, which its street name is hillbilly heroin. I had no idea, until I found out later. It's 4 times stronger than Perks, so so in the withdrawal stage I was in, I decided to try some after all. He is my friend and wouldn't give me something to hurt me, but little did I know it would be the single biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. After only one day I was hooked. I was using them to work with my so-called friend, so just so I could get through the day, Justin Robson. But after I decided to stop working for him because I wanted to change my life and get clean, he actually had the nerve to call Child and Family Services on me because I didn't want to come into work one day, and I wanted to get clean, change my life. So he decided to call Child and Family Services to tell them what I was doing, and the drug he got me addicted to, CFS came to my home, and by which time I was already clean. And for the record, I've never done any kind of drugs in front of my child, so CFS closed the case, and I never talked to Justin Robson again. Alright, so I'm gonna end this video on that note, because my last video I made was a little too long. So I'm gonna end the video on this note, and I will continue in the next one. So if you want to hear some more, hit the like, subscribe, as I always say. Okay, love you guys, and yeah, stay tuned for the next video. Love you, bye.